Hello, my name is Mary. I'm a yoga teacher and massage therapist, and today I want to share with you a practice to reduce fatigue. So whether you're dealing with chronic fatigue, a bout of insomnia, or you're just really tired today, this class will help replenish your energy reserves and give you a chance to deeply rest. We're going to do some gentle movements and then do a restorative pose and conclude in seated meditation for a couple of breaths. You will need 3 blankets for today's practice, and we'll start by folding the blankets in a specific way so that way we don't have to worry about them for the rest of the class. Now I have 3 different blankets here with me today because that's often what we have at home. I have found that patchwork quilts work really well if you don't have yoga blankets at home. So I have a couple of quilts here, and then I do have a more traditional yoga blanket. And we're going to fold the blankets so that they are a specific length and shape. So I'm going to fold them so they are as long as my spine, so from the crown of my head all the way to the bottom of the hips. And I want them to be as wide as my hips, maybe a little bit narrower, but about as wide as the hips. So for me, I have taken this yoga blanket and made a long, narrow rectangle. And then I'm going to take another blanket and create that same size and shape. So it doesn't matter how big your blankets start out, as long as they end up being the same size and shape. So I'm going to take my second blanket here, and I have found actually that this one works best if I fold it into thirds. So taking a moment just to create your blanket pile. And you're going to take 2 of the blankets and stack them in the center of your mat. So once you get 2 that are the same size and shape, stack them in the center. So it's this long padded surface. And then your third blanket, you're going to roll into a little sausage roll or a little sushi roll, and it doesn't have to be a blanket. In this case, you could use a foam roller or another yoga mat if you have lying around the house. So that is, or even a beach towel. So that can be a different type of prop, but a blanket works well. You're just going to roll it up until you create this thick padded roll. And that one can go off to the side. We're not going to need it till later. And then you're going to lay down on your blankets. So making sure that the hips and the head are supported. That's why it's important that they're long enough that they can go from the top of your head all the way to your tailbone. And then bending your knees with the soles of the feet on the floor. Separate the feet a little bit wider than your hips and lean your knees in to touch. Constructive rest position. You can bring the arms down by your sides, palms face up, and feel how there's just a little opening, a little sense of space through the chest and the collarbones. Allow the body to settle here. Settling into the support of the blankets and the floor. Drain all of the weight of your body down into the floor. As if you are an hourglass that's been turned upside down. All of your weight drains down, down, down. And then begin to separate the knees, keeping the feet where they are for now. You can take the arms maybe further out to your side, straight out from the shoulders, like you're creating a letter T with the upper body. And just drop the knees a little bit over to the right, just a few inches. And then bring them back through center and drop them over to the left. Starting to rock and roll a little through the pelvis. Letting the knees swish from side to side. You can gradually make this motion slightly larger, or you can keep it small today. That's totally up to you. You could go a little faster or a little slower than my pace. And again, that's up to you. Feeling what your body needs in this moment. You could pause with the knees to one side. What does that feel like? Or you could continue on your steady motion of back and forth, side to side. And next time the knees are pointing up toward the ceiling, we'll gather the knees in toward the chest, wrap your arms around the knees, just hug them in. Take a deep breath here. And a long breath out. And then place the left foot back down on the mat. Keep holding on to the right knee. And interlace the hands behind the right thigh. As you inhale, begin to straighten the leg, maybe just a little, maybe a little more as the foot reaches toward the sky. And then exhale, bend. So there's no need to straighten the leg all the way. Just gently inhale and lengthen however much you want. And exhale, bend. Keep doing that a few times on your own. Inhale, foot goes up. Exhale, bend. Gradually, slowly opening the back of the leg. It can take several repetitions to really feel like you're opening and lengthening the hamstrings. So let the process be slow. Let the body unravel in its own time. And then next time you have the foot pointing to the sky, we'll just hold it up there and point and flex the ankle, trace some circles with the toes, whatever movements come naturally to the foot and ankle. So helping bring range of motion to this joint. And when you're ready, place the foot back down. And we'll do that on the left. Begin by drawing the left knee in toward your chest. Interlace the hands behind the thigh. Inhale. Begin to straighten the leg a little or a lot. And exhale, bend. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bend. Using the pace, the rhythm of your own breath, which again might be faster or slower than mine. And next time you have the foot floating up toward the sky, point and flex. Trace some circles with the toes, making sure you go in both directions. And then lower the foot back down. Very nice. We'll roll to one side now so that we can bring ourselves up to hands and knees. So when you get to tabletop position or hands and knees, we're going to be kneeling in front of the blankets. So one hand is on either side of your blanket stack, and the hips are over the knees, shoulders over wrists. As you inhale, you can lift the tailbone, let the belly soften down, shine the heart forward, look up a little so that you're looking straight in front of you. And then as you exhale, gently draw your navel up toward your spine, lower your head and tail. Good. Inhale, lifting head and tail. And exhale, lowering. And then if you want, we're going to add child's pose to this little movement. So as you inhale, lifting head and tail. As you exhale, sinking the hips back toward child's pose. And gently bringing the head toward the floor. But we're not going to pause there just yet. So inhale, come back up. Lifting head and tail, arching the back. And then exhale as you gently round through the spine, tuck head and tail, and sink the hips back. A couple more times like that. Inhale to rise. And exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. When you're back to tabletop position now, we'll trace some circles with the hips. So as big or small as you want, tracing a circle around the hips. Making sure that you go in both directions. So once you've done about 3 or 4 in one direction, let's go the other way. And then coming back to stillness. So we're going to settle into our restorative pose from here, but we'll change a couple things in the blankets first. Taking the top blanket, can you move it forward about 6 inches or so? That way the bottom edge of your blankets are offset, so they provide a more gradual transition down toward the floor. And then take the top edge of the top blanket and you're going to fold it back about 1 foot or 18 inches. We'll adjust that as we lay down. And then you're going to take your third blanket, the blanket roll or your foam roller or whatever you have, and tuck it underneath your ankles. And we'll lay the torso down on the blankets as if it is a surfboard. So it's going to come to the top of the thighs or the middle of the thighs. And the top folded blanket should rest slightly below the collarbones so that your neck is free and you can lower the head down. We're going to stack the hands one on top of the other to rest the forehead down. This way you have a little space to breathe, but you're resting the forehead, that third eye space between the eyebrows, onto some support. I like to tuck my hands underneath the bottom blanket so that it's a little bit more padded for where I lean the forehead down, but that's really going to depend on your body and the size and shape of your blankets too. And we'll take a few minutes here settling into the support underneath you. And see if you can breathe in through your back. And breathe out through your heart space into the ground. Breathing in through the back as if your back had nostrils on the back. And exhaling out through the heart, through the belly into the ground. Letting the body be heavy, softening into the ground. And when you're ready to transition out, begin by just lifting the head up a little, keeping the gaze down toward the floor. Draw your hands back under your shoulders and gather your belly up toward your spine as you press into the hands and lift yourself back up through tabletop, and then sit the hips back into child's pose once more. You can remove the blanket roll under the ankles, or you can leave it there, letting the forehead rest down on the blankets. And then walk your hands back even further under your shoulders to press yourself up. And we'll come into a seat on the blanket. So I just unfold that top blanket and sit toward the edge of your blankets. If that's comfortable, you could also come into a seated position on a chair, the edge of a couch or bed. And take a moment here integrating that practice into the mind and body. If you'd like to stretch a little bit more, you could take one hand down to the floor, reach the other hand overhead, just gently unfolding the side body. Or you can stay in a seated position in stillness. You don't need to add this extra stretch. If you are stretching side to side, switch sides. And then coming into a still seated position. We'll conclude our practice by chanting Om 3 times together. And if you've never chanted Om, all you do is inhale deeply, and then as you exhale, you say the word Om, O-M, as long as you can until you run out of air. And it doesn't matter how you sound. This is not a singing competition. Just let the sound be deep and resonant. So inhale deeply. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Bringing the hands together in prayer. The light in me honors the light in each of you. Thank you for practicing with me today. Namaste.